Welcome and welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grognard Show. Today is Monday, January 16, 2023, 10 a.m. Central, or shortly thereafter, in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And events over my winter hiatus conspired against my plan to jump right back in with some advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master Guide magic item discussion. We'll get back to that soon enough. But let's start off the year talking about the burr under the saddle that is the open game license announcement from Wizards of the Coast. What are these knuckleheads thinking? Oh, by the way, Thaddeus Moore sent me this lovely OSR magnet. So, thank you. Thank you very much. And I appreciate it. I will magnetize. Oh, and by the way, I finally found what I thought is a decent enough Choco lids, plain black hat. Because I always like the brass adjuster on the backs of my hats, and I gotta say that finding these at the right price is always a challenge. If you want blank ones that you want to have patches added to, and I bought one with the expectation that it might or might not be good enough for what I want. But this one is good, so I can get a couple more, and then I can get my OSR patches and a couple other patches that I have attached to some hats that I can hopefully have in time for GaryCon this year. Let's not forget, late March will be GaryCon. We're all excited about that. I'm running a couple of first edition D&D games. In fact, I'm running two sessions of the same game. So don't sign up for both and expect two different games. Yeah, I mean, it'll be two different groups, and it's sandboxy, so it might wind up seeming very much like two different games. But it's intentionally me running the same thing twice so that more people can play in it without me having to have a hellacious number of people at the table during a convention game where time is limited, and the more people you have, the less time each person gets in the spotlight or whatever you want to call it. So, for sure, sign up for only one if you're signing up for one of those. And of course, the Civilization game will be run on Sunday as per usual with hopefully some returning players. I know Jan Johnson will be playing, and that'll be fun. Uh, Josh Pop and Luke, thank you very much for asking that I help out with the GaryCon Facebook group um, oversight, moderate. I don't know. You just kind of helping, right? So whatever it is I can do, um, I'm glad to do it, and it'll be a lot of fun. Very much a lot of fun. And oh, what's that? Oh, OGL. That stands for the Open Game License, which of course has been in use since the beginning of the century. 22 years, right? In 2000, three or four or five companies put something together under the OGL 1.0. Well, it was still under a gentleman's agreement, which was it's everybody who's involved understood there were still some kinks to work out, And when they got those ironed out, it would become the OGL 1.0 parentheses A in parentheses lowercase a, by the way. And everybody agreed that that would be the deal. And a number of people, myself included, put out a few things. I started selling in late 2000 the Whispering Woodwind, an adventure that I wrote for third edition. Well, it utilized third edition, but I ran it first myself, and other people did, I'm sure, as well. And it was a blast. I uploaded it then to RPG Now when that became a little more ubiquitous as the online e-tailer. I uploaded that in 2001 there rather than selling it directly. And of course, back then it was the Wild West when it came to selling PDFs. PayPal was PayPal was probably uh, looked on with a lot more suspicion and distrust than it is today. You know, people don't even think about it. But back then, making online payments with anything, PayPal included, was danger, danger, Will Robinson. A lot of people were very much afraid of giving out any kind of credit card information or anything online. Nowadays, people people upload their stuff all the time with hardly a thought, fully trusting the world and large corporations to take care of their best interests. But guess what? Not always the case that you can count on a large corporation to have your best interest. Case in point, the announcement for an OGL 1.1, which even more recently has now been said it is now going to be the OGL 2.0. In any event, it strips away. It tries to deauthorize the earlier version, although it was always a part of the OGL that if you that it might get revised from time to time. But if you don't like the revisions, the terms of the revision, keep using the OGL you have, the OGL that's available. Says so in the license. So putting out a new license that says other language is, in my opinion, not going to supersede continuing to use the OGL 1.0A. And personally, I'll be proceeding as such. There will be challenges, I'm sure. There are a lot of people jumping ship who don't feel they can trust Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro anymore, and they are looking to create new open game licenses unattached to Wizards of the Coast, not part of theirs, something they can no longer touch. But personally, I like the stuff that I put out. I want to continue to be able to use it under the same licensing, and the license is perpetual. And to my understanding of it, with discussions with many people, and with the general assessments of those who originally worked on it, the lawyer involved, Brian, I won't get into his, because he kind of remains separate from that. But Ryan Dancy, architect of the OGL, um, is also of a mind that, well, it doesn't say irrevocable. It is in essence irrevocable because of the language within the document. It is not something that can be deauthorized because that language is not in the actual license itself, and you can't add language in with a subsequent license what's baked in is baked in. You can't later say, oh, here's a revision and it supersedes the previous one because the previous one has language that says that isn't the case. And you can't say that language isn't true anymore because that is a legal document that has been out there for 22 years. Believe me, if this was something that they could do, I'm of an opinion that they would have done it a long time ago. People are invested in it. There are many businesses built up around it. I'm small potatoes. Don't get me wrong. I've thrown out, I don't know, a couple of dozen things over 22 years, but that's nothing compared to some other people. Some other people don't even use the SRD or materials open game content that Wizards put into uh, the public sphere through the license. Some people use the license on its own with their own stuff and nothing to do with Wizards aside from the fact that they fashioned the license. So, no, no, they don't. They don't have the ability, in my opinion, to go back and say, hey, all of you people for 22 years using this license, and it's no good anymore. It's not going to happen. That's just my personal opinion. Let people say what they will and believe what they will. But when push comes to shove, when the rubber meets the road, I don't believe that's going to happen. So, what did we talk about? Gary Con, we talked about the OGL now. I think that's the big thing, 2023. What else are we doing for 2023? You know what? I'm going to take a show next week and talk about it some more. But I've been messing with this Dungeon 23 idea just to give people an overview of that. It is essentially a post a day sort of thing, which I can't absolutely do, so I do it in streaks. I'll do a handful of posts and average them out to a post a day. But the idea is you're building a dungeon over the course of a year. And at the end of the year, you'll have 365 rooms, areas to your dungeon. You'll have a sort of a mega dungeon completed if you stick with the program. So I'm messing around with that on grimvald.com, which is one corner of the Creative Mountain Games, the creativemountaingames.com CMG blog triad, along with MF Wars and grimvald.com and creativemountaingames.com. You'll find it over there. So if you want to follow along with that and check it out, please do. I'd appreciate it. So what do we got? What do we got? I think that's about it. Going to be a shortish show, 15 minutes. Let's keep them under 15 minutes when we can. Some of them will go a little longer during 2023, I think. I'm also going to try to do some pre-recorded things this year, some crafting shows, which I think benefit from actual editing. I won't do a lot of them. They take time, a lot of time, to do them right, and it's time I don't necessarily have or can't devote to those specifically. But from time to time, I'm going to try to put some of those together, and then I'll add them up. They won't supersede my regular Monday show, but they'll be in addition to. So look for those too in 2023. What else can we say about 2023? Lake Geneva Games continues to prosper. It's doing quite well. I'm happy to continue to be a part of the team and help manage the store going into 2023. We had the busiest Saturday, this last Saturday, that I've seen Commander Free for All night. The place was packed. There were hardly any seats available. Everybody was there having a blast. And what a crowd. And I'm so glad because a lot of winters we get socked with snow. People are loath to drive sometimes, especially if there's a storm on the horizon. this January has been so far, and we're going to have a couple more days of decent weather, but at some point, we're going to get nailed, and when we do, things will slow down. But for now, let's take advantage of it and enjoy it. So, all of that said, let's shut her down, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. This has been the OK Grognard Show, first show of January, first show of 2023. We talked a little bit about the OGL and a lot of other things for 2023. We'll get back to more of that next week. The show streams live on Twitch each Monday at 10 a.m. Central and is then archived on YouTube. Please do follow the channel on Twitch if you can, I believe, and chime in on the chat while you're there if you're watching. It would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you're catching up with it on YouTube where it's archived, subscribe, ring the little bell so you get notifications, give us a thumbs up, and naturally make comments if you feel like it. I'd appreciate it. Thanks to our Patreon supporters, Tom Tullis of Fat Dragon Games, Carlos Lysing of Castle Entertainment, Heath Farndon of the D&D 20, Dave O'Brien of 4 Quacks Games, and Shane Bradley, DM Extraordinaire. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Bye-bye.